Wicked is one of the most successful Broadway shows in the world, and Jon M's two-part film adaptation has taken the world by storm. When it was announced that Chu's adaptations were going to be split into two parts, with one act of the stage show encompassing the first film and the second act being adapted into the second film, many fans were not so happy. Even Universal, the studio backing the film, wasn't too keen on the idea at first. But Chu convinced the studio, alongside the screenwriters, to give the adaptation two films. The team pulled the story apart and found what they needed to do to encompass a proper adaptation. They figured out the plot holes from the stage show that need to be revised based on the actual source material, the book Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire. And they found that, like the act break of the stage show, the first film needed to end at Defying Gravity, to leave the audience wanting more, but also giving a satisfying conclusion to Elphaba and Glinda's story arcs in the first film. Both films were shot at the same time, implementing a block scheduling format in order to ensure that the cast and crew got sufficient time on each set for the scenes that take place there before moving on to the next. They were also shooting around the actors' schedules, with Ariana Grande hitting the studio to record her 7th album, Eternal Sunshine, Michelle Yeoh going on an Oscar campaign for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and Jonathan Bailey filming the 3rd season of Bridgerton. One of the coolest aspects of filming Wicked was that stars Grande and Cynthia Erivo decided to sing live on set instead of using pre-records, which is normally the industry standard for filming musicals. Chu was skeptical at first, but the actresses convinced him since they are both trained vocalists as well. "We chose to sing live because it meant that we would be further connected to the words we were saying and to each other," says Erivo. This meant that Chu and his production designer, Nathan Crawley, had to make sets that also functioned as a recording studio. This allowed the raw and real emotion that the team recorded on set to be worked into the sound design of the film. So what audiences hear and experience in the theater is basically what the cast and crew heard while filming. One of the challenges was when Erivo was flying across the set while belting Defying Gravity. The first time you're like, where am I supposed to put my voice? It's not working! And then you sort of find a way to concentrate, to figure it out, to focus it. To pull off the stunt while singing, Erivo worked alongside her vocal coach and stunt director to find where to place the support other lungs and voice. Normally, an artist needs to have ground underneath them while belting a song and making the sounds, because that's where the force comes from. Since she was flying around the set with a corset and harness on, there's no real space for her breathing. Erivo's vocal coach would reset her so she could find the ground in the air and use her core to make sure the vocals would come out. For Grande, no stunt double was used for Glinda's wildest antics, with the actress-singer doing her own stunts and singing as well. For filming Popular, Grande had actually gotten COVID the week before, but managed to do all the stunt work during the song, like jumping on a chandelier and swinging on it. The power of casting talented actresses who also happened to be fantastic singers. Rumors circulated that the actresses were called back to London in May 2025 to film extra shots for the film. Chu has explained that the original ending of the second film just didn't click for him. The studio wanted sweeping shots of Oz as Glinda and Elphaba belt out the title track for good, but Chu wanted a more intimate ending. The director mentioned how the studio hired cranes for the cameras and filmed these big sweeping shots across the whole set, since Universal believed the end of the whole saga needed to go big. Instead, Chu opted to reshoot and have a more intimate ending that is quieter, more truthful, and the most emotional version of it. To do so, the actresses were called into London, and with a small team, to take the burden off the actresses from having to give a showy performance. Wheelchair-bound actress Marissa Bode was cast as Nessa Rose Throp, the wheelchair-bound sister to Elphaba, and this was her first major role. In the history of Wicked, she is actually the first wheelchair user to play the role, with most actresses playing Nessa Rose on the stage not using one, except for the character. Fans of the stage musical know that in a crucial scene, spoilers ahead, the red slippers Nessa Rose receives give her the ability to walk with them after Elphaba bewitches them. The disabled community has always criticized that subplot, and with Bode's casting, Chu worked closely with the screenwriters to ensure a more plausible outcome happens in that scene. I think it comes down to the writing. The writing was done before I had been cast, so I personally didn't have a hand in the writing itself, says Bode. Bode revealed that one of the writers, Winnie Holtzman, who also wrote the original book of the musical, consulted with a disabled friend of hers on how to make those changes after hearing the negative feedback on the scene in the stage show. Holtzman understood that Nessa's motivations are different in the second film than in the first. She no longer wants to be healed and fixed by Elphaba. As Stephen Schwartz said, "Winnie and I learned a few things from the PWD community. It was important to them that it was clear that their lives would not be solved if they could just walk. So they gave Nessa a different agenda and want outside of that, and that adds to her character. So the team decided instead that the slippers would give Nessa the ability to, spoiler, fly! This is symbolic in her story arc, where she rises to the top and becomes the governess of Munchkinland after her father's death. With regards to building the world of Oz, Chu says that they built everything from scratch. You could walk through the Emerald City, go into the bakery shop, and look at what kind of sweets they had. You could go into the salon and sit in a chair, says the director. The team also constructed Shiz University and Munchkinland. For the latter, the director has gone on record and revealed that Crowley utilized practical and functioning sets rather than CGI. The Emerald City Express train is a functioning 16-ton train that utilizes actual train tracks laid down between sets. 9 million tulips were planted and grown to represent the fields of Munchkinland, with an actual yellow-painted brick road built leading in and out. The Emerald City utilized over 5 different shades of green, while the wizard himself is a 20-foot-tall mechanical automaton head with hydraulics that is controlled by a puppeteer off-screen. As a final detail, the real structures were paired with green screens to blend practical effects with CGI to ensure that the magic would leap off the screen. For the locations in the second film, Crowley wanted to repurpose certain sets from the first film while also building the new locations. The Wizard's green railcar, for instance, was transformed in post-production into Glinda's rosy-colored train. Crowley also merged components from the Shiz University library set and Madame Morrible's rooms to create the Governor's Mansion. When you are building this many sets for 2 movies, you have to get creative, he explained. One of the new locations Crowley designed was Kiamo Ko, the crumbling castle that belongs to Prince Fiero's family and in which Elphaba adopts as her hideout in the West. The designer had to defy gravity and architecture to launch the audience into the second film. He purposely avoided overt Gothic cues, opting instead for an improvisational architectural language marked by elongated spires and arches that flip and twist into floating fortress-like forms. Imagine a blend of Escher's illusions, the sculptural exuberance of the Sagrada Familia, and the surreal rock formations of Cappadocia. That sense of buoyancy carries into Elphaba's forest hideaway, a woven, elevated refuge tucked high in the treetops. The designers shaped it digitally and produced it with 3D printing, weaving together branches, trunks, and foliage with semi-transparent surfaces to create a concealed woodland sanctuary, part Amazonian treehouse, part Andy Goldsworthy installation.
Elphaba Throp, I know you're out here. Just come in before the monkeys spot you.
Thanks for joining us behind the scenes. We hope you enjoyed getting a closer look at how Wicked, for Good, came together with the live vocals on set, the respective casting of Marissa Bode, the changes to Nessa's character, and the practical sets and effects implemented to make the world of Oz come to life. If you like this kind of content, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next for Collider Behind the Scenes.